Padua, a city in northern Italy, is a treasure trove of art and history. It's a place where the past feels vibrantly alive, especially when you walk among its 14th-century fresco cycles. These magnificent artworks, painted directly onto plaster walls, offer us a window into a fascinating period of human creativity. They aren't just beautiful pictures, they're stories frozen in time. Imagine walking into a building and being surrounded by scenes from the Bible. So real, you can almost touch the folds of the clothing. That's the power of Padua's frescoes. Join me now as we journey back to 14th century Padua to explore these remarkable works of art. Frescoes, unlike paintings on canvas, become a part of the building itself. The artists mixed pigments with wet plaster, and as the plaster dried, the colors became permanently bound. This technique, known as fresco painting, created incredibly durable artworks. These frescoes have survived for centuries, allowing us to witness the artistry of a bygone era. They're not tucked away in museums. They live on the walls of chapels, churches, and palaces throughout Padua. Stepping into these spaces is like stepping back in time. Join me as we delve deeper into the world of Padua's fresco cycles, exploring the stories they tell, the artists who created them, and the legacy they left behind. Before we meet the superstar of Paduan frescoes, let's set the stage. Imagine artists like Giotto weren't working in isolation. They were part of a vibrant art scene, influenced by earlier masters. One such artist was Cimabue, a towering figure of the late 13th century. His work, while stunning, still clung to the traditional Byzantine style. Figures stiff, backgrounds flat, almost like icons. These earlier artists laid the groundwork for the revolution that was to come. Enter Giotto di Bondone, the name synonymous with Paduan frescoes. Born around 1267, he was destined to transform the art world. Giotto's work was a revelation. He breathed life into the traditional fresco, infusing it with unprecedented realism and emotional depth. The Scrovegni Chapel, a small, unassuming building in Padua, became his canvas. Here, he unleashed his genius, covering the walls and ceiling with a breathtaking cycle depicting the life of the Virgin Mary and Christ. What truly set Giotto apart was his ability to connect with the viewer on an emotional level. His frescoes weren't just religious stories, they were reflections of the human experience. Look closely at the faces in a Giotto fresco. You'll see sorrow etched on the face of a grieving mother, tenderness in the eyes of a shepherd, fear in the face of a fleeing disciple. These were emotions everyone could understand. Giotto's impact went far beyond Padua, shaping generations of artists, including the great masters of the Renaissance. Let's step inside the Scrovegni Chapel, a building almost as famous as the frescoes it houses. From the outside, it's an unassuming structure, almost plain. But don't let that fool you. Enrico Scrovegni, a wealthy banker, commissioned this chapel in the early 14th century. Stepping inside is like entering a jewel box. Giotto's frescoes cover every inch, a continuous narrative cycle that draws the viewer in. Padua in the 14th century wasn't just about chapels. The city buzzed with powerful families, each eager to showcase their wealth and patronage of the arts. Palaces became canvases for these artistic ambitions. The Palazzo della Ragione, Padua's massive town hall, boasts one of the largest fresco cycles in the world. These weren't just decorations, they were statements of power and identity. The frescoes proclaimed Padua's status as a center of learning, commerce, and justice. What's fascinating about these Paduan frescoes is how the architecture often works in tandem with the art. It's not just about painted walls, it's about the interplay of light, space, and form. Take the Scrovegni Chapel again. Its barrel-vaulted ceiling, a simple architectural feature, becomes the perfect canvas for Giotto's depiction of the Last Judgment. Windows, strategically placed, cast natural light onto the frescoes, illuminating key scenes or figures at different times of day. This harmonious relationship between art and architecture is a hallmark of Paduan frescoes. To truly appreciate Padua's frescoes, we need to step back into the 14th century. Imagine a world both familiar and utterly alien to our own. It was a time of immense change, a world on the brink of transformation. The medieval world, with its rigid social structures and unquestioned faith, was beginning to crumble. New ideas were emerging, challenging old certainties. This tension between the old and the new, the secular and the sacred, is palpable in the frescoes. Looming over everything was the spectre of the Black Death. This devastating plague, which first swept through Europe in the mid-14th century, killed millions, leaving an indelible mark on the human psyche. Imagine the fear, the uncertainty, as this invisible enemy stalked the streets. No one was safe, rich or poor, young or old. The Black Death was a stark reminder of human mortality, of the fragility of life. This collective trauma found expression in art, reflecting the preoccupation with death and salvation that gripped society. But Padua's frescoes weren't just about religious themes. They also offer fascinating glimpses into the daily life of the time, providing a window into a vanished world. Look closely, and you'll see scenes of people working, playing, and interacting. These scenes, though often relegated to the background, are a treasure trove of information for historians. They reveal details about clothing, tools, and social customs. They show us how people lived, worked, and interacted with their environment. Padua's frescoes weren't just static images, they were dynamic narratives designed to engage the viewer's emotions and imaginations. They were stories told in paint, accessible to everyone regardless of literacy. Artists used a variety of techniques to bring these stories to life. They arranged scenes in chronological order, creating visual narratives that unfolded like chapters in a book. They used gestures, expressions, and body language to convey emotion and create a sense of drama. These frescoes were powerful tools of communication, designed to instruct, inspire, and awe. For all their grandeur, frescoes are surprisingly delicate. Centuries of exposure to the elements, candle smoke, and even well-intentioned but misguided restoration attempts took their toll. Imagine these vibrant masterpieces slowly fading, their colors dulled by grime, their plaster cracking under the weight of time. The very things that made them part of the building, exposed walls, humidity, also made them vulnerable. Wars, too, left their scars. Yet through it all, these fragile giants endured. The 20th century brought a new awareness of the importance of art conservation. No longer were frescoes seen as static objects to be touched up or painted over to suit contemporary tastes. Instead, a new breed of experts emerged: art historians, scientists, and conservators, working together like a symphony orchestra to preserve these masterpieces for future generations. Imagine the meticulous work involved, stabilizing them, halting further deterioration, and revealing the original intent of the artist while respecting the patina of age. The restoration of the Scrovegni Chapel frescoes in the latter half of the 20th century stands as a landmark achievement. It was a massive undertaking, involving a team of experts and years of painstaking work. Using cutting-edge technology and traditional techniques, the restorers painstakingly cleaned the frescoes, consolidated the fragile plaster, and addressed the underlying moisture problems. The results were astonishing. Giotto's colors, once muted and obscured, blazed forth with renewed brilliance. The restoration of Padua's frescoes wasn't just about preserving the past, it was about making them accessible to the present and the future. Today, thanks to these efforts, visitors from around the world can experience the awe and wonder that those 14th-century frescoes evoke. But preservation goes beyond restoration. It's about controlling humidity and light levels, managing the flow of visitors, and constantly monitoring the frescoes for any signs of deterioration. They are a precious legacy, a link to a pivotal moment in human history, and a testament to the enduring power of art. Our journey through Padua's 14th-century fresco cycles has taken us back in time, revealing a world on the cusp of change. We've witnessed the artistic brilliance of masters like Giotto, who transformed walls into windows of the soul, capturing the human experience with unparalleled realism and emotion. These frescoes aren't just beautiful pictures, they're time capsules, preserving the stories, beliefs, and anxieties of a bygone era. They remind us of the power of faith that permeated medieval society, the shadow cast by the Black Death, and the simple beauty of everyday life in a world both familiar and strikingly different from our own. We've seen how these artworks, woven into the fabric of the city itself, transformed chapels, palaces, and even private homes into immersive spaces of storytelling and contemplation. The architecture, far from being a mere backdrop, often worked in harmony with the frescoes, enhancing their impact and creating a symphony of art and design. Through the centuries, these fragile giants have faced the ravages of time, war, and neglect. Yet they've endured, a testament to the skill of their creators and the dedication of those who recognize their value. The meticulous work of restoration has breathed new life into these masterpieces, allowing us to experience them with a vibrancy that would have astonished their original viewers. In today's fast-paced digital world, where images flash across our screens and vanish with a swipe, Padua's fresco cycles offer a powerful counterpoint. They invite us to slow down, to contemplate, to immerse ourselves in stories told not with pixels, but with pigments painstakingly applied to plaster over 7 centuries ago. These frescoes remind us that art has the power to transcend time, to connect us with the past, and to illuminate the enduring themes of the human experience: faith, loss, love, and the search for meaning in a world often filled with uncertainty. While nothing can replace the experience of standing before these masterpieces in person, feeling the weight of history and the sheer scale of these artistic achievements, technology has made it possible to share these treasures with a global audience. High-resolution images, virtual tours, and interactive websites allow art lovers worldwide to explore Padua's fresco cycles in unprecedented detail, to zoom in on brushstrokes, and to delve into the stories behind the scenes. Yet even in a digital age, these frescoes retain their power to inspire a sense of awe and wonder. They remind us that some stories are best told not with fleeting pixels, but with colors that have endured for centuries, a testament to the enduring power of human creativity and the importance of preserving our shared cultural heritage.